my name is Dmitry Lovanov. I am curator of entomology collections at the Manchester Museum. And today we are having a special visitor. And let me introduce Stephen Lewis, who works at butterfly conservation at Priest Heath Commons in Shropshire, the only site where natural site where silver-studded blue butterfly occurs. Am I right? In the Midlands, of course. Yeah, in the Midlands. And the first question I'd like you to ask: why do we need to conserve, to protect butterflies in the UK?
Well, butterflies are important indicators of a healthy countryside. They've been adopted as such by the UK government, so they give us a very good picture and understanding of what the health of the British countryside is like.
Okay, very good. Are there any endangered species of British butterflies?
Unfortunately, there are plenty of endangered species. A lot of butterflies have been in decline over a number of years. Butterfly Conservation, who I work for, tends to split butterflies into two groups. The priority or habitat specialists, which are not commonly seen and only occur in quite special places, and the wider countryside species that occur in people's gardens and just roundabout on roadsides and hedgerows. Both those groups have been in decline. The habitat specialists have been declining by 73% in the last 40 years. The wider countryside, more common species, declined by 36% in the last 40 years. So there's huge declines just in recent years of all UK butterflies.
All UK butterflies? Of all 60 plus?
All those groups. Individual species may vary within those groupings, but overall, taking them as a group, butterflies are declining throughout the UK.
What could be the main reasons for species to become declined or extinct in the UK?
The main reason is loss of habitat. Butterflies require certain things for their development in all four stages of their life cycle, when the female lays the egg, when it develops as a caterpillar and feeds on particular food plants, when it chrysallises, and when it becomes an adult moth and requires nectar sources. So in all four stages of life cycles, butterflies have been struggling because the habitat they need has diminished. The main reason for that is the intensification of agriculture in the UK, but also many sites have become unsuitable for butterflies from being neglected and allowed to scrub up and not being allowed to receive the amount of light that a lot of butterfly species need.
What could be done to protect the vulnerable species of British butterflies, the kind you described?
Yeah, well, butterflies do require a range of things. Butterfly Conservation was founded in 1968, just over 40 years ago, and its main work is to do with recording butterflies. We need to know where the butterflies are they going up, are they going down, which areas, which species, and so a lot of input is put into recording butterflies. Hundreds and hundreds of volunteers throughout the UK go out week after week recording butterflies in the countryside. It also does a lot of work in terms of advising landowners, farmers, land managers about how to promote butterflies on their land, and particularly with regard to the agri-environment schemes like entry-level stewardship, higher-level stewardship, which the UK government operates. So a lot of work is done with that, and it has a number of nature reserves. Nature reserves are important. Nature reserves are particularly targeted at priority species, the rarer species, the most threatened species, and that's where I work at Priest Heath Common, conserving the silver-studded blue butterfly. And what's happened on that site in the last 40 years, it's a heathland species, a lot of the heathland was ploughed up and used to grow crops like potatoes, wheat, beans and so on. Heathland habitat was destroyed, as I said earlier, intensification of agriculture. A lot of manure and fertilisers went on that land. My job is to restore that land back to heathland. Not an easy task by any means, but we are succeeding with that. Butterfly Conservation has put a lot of resources, a lot of effort into making that wider site, 60 hectares in total, suitable for the silver-studded blue butterfly.
Do you face any resistance from farmers or people working on the ground? So if they maybe do not appreciate or don't understand the value why these butterflies should be flying over instead of having this as a lands as a pasture or something like this.
Well, sometimes that may be the case. You know, not all farmers or land managers or owners will cooperate. But in these agri-environment schemes, there is the carrot of money. You know, they will get paid to manage their land in a certain way. So there is that carrot, and yeah, that can often be a very important point.
And this carrot, this carrot is provided by the government, so is it state involved? So who pays for all these programs?
It's paid for by UK government through Natural England, but the money comes from the European Union.
Okay. Are there any opportunities, so this is a slightly different question, to maintain or maybe to increase diversity of butterflies in the urban environment?
Urban environments can provide very good habitat for a range of species. There are a number of species, particularly that like brownfield sites. They include the dingy skipper, the grizzle skipper, other species as well. They thrive on brownfield sites, so they can be really important habitat for a number of butterfly species.
Very interesting. I'm also interested whether some migratory species could contribute, let's say, to British diversity of butterflies. Are there any migratory species of butterflies or moths?
Yeah, there are a number of migratory species. Three main migratory species in the UK. The painted lady, that overwinters in Morocco and flies north across most of Europe and into Britain most years. 2009 was a spectacular year where thousands and thousands of painted ladies were seen in the UK, all the way up to the Shetland Islands, you know, north of Scotland, and then they try and return back to Morocco at the end of in the autumn. They were seen flying over the cliffs in southern England, trying to get back to Morocco. So the painted lady is one. The clouded yellow is another one that occurs in some areas of the UK. Most years it's a bit more occasional. We did see it this year at Pre-Seath. We saw two specimens at Pre-Seath this year. Red admirals also migrate into the UK from southern Europe, from the Mediterranean area, and they are now believed to be overwintering successfully as adults in southern England.
Wow, that's interesting.
They will go through the life cycle and survive the winter in southern England. We think that may be a reflection of climate change.
Oh, that's very interesting. And completely different story. What, in your opinion, could natural history museums, like the Manchester Museum, containing a very big collection of insects, could do in order to promote, maintain, maybe improve situation with conservation of butterflies in the UK?
Well, I think the museums have an important role to play. They do contain a lot of historic records, documentary records, pinned specimens, and they're really important in trying to get a whole picture of how these butterflies and moths are doing. So they're very important from that point of view. Down where I work in Shropshire, most of the county records, specimens and documentary records are kept at a place in Ludlow Museum Resource Centre, that is currently being threatened with being mothballed as part of local government cuts.
Wow.
So there's at the moment, as I speak, there's a campaign to try and stop that. But you know, that would be a very retrograde step.
Would you be interested in developing kind of collaborative project with a museum like us in order to work on the conservation of butterflies?
Maybe. I mean, there may well be some scope for that. I think Butterfly Conservation is quite a small charity. It only employs about 50 people. Half of them are in headquarters in Dorset. The other half are spread throughout the UK and are just heavily involved in so many projects on so many different sort of landscapes and areas. It's probably a question of time more than anything, but I'm sure, you know, in spirit we would also obviously want to work collaboratively with museums like yourselves.
Yeah, this is exactly what I meant. In spirit we are all together.
Yeah.
And okay, thank you. My final question is, what is the main aim of your visit to the Manchester Museum today?
Right, in the West Midlands we are currently writing a book on all the 44 species of butterflies that can be found in the West Midlands. I'm writing the chapter on the silver-studded blue butterfly. Each chapter on each species will include a bit on historic records. and we are particularly interested in historic records for the silver-studded blue at Priest Heath and also other sites in the West Midlands where it used to occur but it's now become extinct.
Okay, yeah, I hope you can succeed, you can get some of those. Thank you very
Well,
much.
thanks very much for having us.
Thank you.